बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम। प्यारे बच्चों, अस्सलाम वालेकुम वरहमतुल्लाहि वबरकातुहू। Today I am going to teach you about one of the important biological process, that is photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is that very biological process by which all the four basic needs of life are fulfilled. It is through the process of photosynthesis that we get food, fiber, shelter, that's forests, as well as life-saving gas, or we can say oxygen. All the four basic needs of life are fulfilled by plants through the process of photosynthesis. And photosynthesis is a constructive process by which plants are able to fix carbon dioxide from atmosphere in presence of water, sunlight, and green coloring pigment, that is chlorophyll. Now we will look about the literal meaning of photosynthesis. What do you mean by photosynthesis? Every living organism on this planet Earth ultimately depends on energy, and this energy is derived from sunlight. Biological process that can harvest maximum amount of energy from sun. Can you imagine? Can you name this process? Yes, it is photosynthesis, definitely. Photosynthesis literally means synthesis using light. Light driven synthesis of carbohydrates from carbon dioxide and water with the generation of oxygen is called photosynthesis. Or we can say it is the reduction of carbon dioxide and water into carbohydrates in presence of sunlight and chlorophyll molecules. Thus, photosynthesis is a process by which plants and other organisms like algae, some bacteria, synthesize their food in presence of light. On the right side, you see a picture wherein all the four basic needs of life are fulfilled by plants through the process of photosynthesis. And in this picture, it's also seen that all the four basic components needed for the process of photosynthesis are present, that is sunlight, carbon dioxide, water, as well as green coloring pigment present in the leaves of plants. Now, photosynthesis requires four basic components. First is carbon dioxide, that's present in the atmosphere as carbon dioxide gas. It is usually present in the atmosphere in 0.03% of concentration. Second, water that's absorbed from the soil by roots as capillary water, because in the soil we have different types of waters, like we have gravitational water, hygroscopic water, water vapors, combined water, and capillary water. It's on the capillary water that's used by the plants as a source of water. And third, that is light, which is trapped as visible light of sunlight. That's it's only the PAR region, that is photosynthetically active region, which is involved in the process of photosynthesis. That's also represented by visible spectrum. And fourth component that's needed in photosynthesis is green coloring pigment within the chloroplast, that is chlorophyll molecules and other accessory pigments. Thus, on the basis of these four components, the overall equation for photosynthesis can be represented as, that's carbon dioxide plus water in presence of sunlight and chlorophyll gives rise to carbohydrates, water and nascent oxygen. This process of photosynthesis is completed in two major steps. First step is, that is photochemical step or photochemical phase, also called as light dependent phase, or some people also call it as a light reaction, because as the name indicates, this stage occurs in presence of light. And photochemical phase, it occurs on the surface of grana of chloroplasts. We have another phase of photosynthesis, that is second phase, that we will study in detail later on, that is photosynthetic phase, or also called as light independent phase or dark reaction. Since this phase occurs in absence of light, or this phase is independent of light, that's why it's called as light independent phase or dark reaction. First, we'll study about photochemical phase or light reaction. This light reaction, it takes place in the grana chloroplasts. Before we move forward, you should know about grana, you should know about thylakoids, you should know about structure of leaf, transverse section of leaf, wherein you can study mesophyll tissue, and mesophyll tissue contain these chlorochymous cells which contain chloroplast in them. On the right side you see a single leaf, a green leaf, and from this leaf we cut a transverse section which can see as below, that is transverse section of leaf can be seen below this leaf, wherein there are palisade parenchyma and spongy parenchyma cells. Both of them constitute mesophyll tissue. It is that very tissue which is involved in the process of photosynthesis, where process of photosynthesis occurs due to presence of chloroplasts. I have shown chloroplast with the help of arrows. On both sides, arrows shown presence of chloroplasts in mesophyll tissue, that is palisade parenchyma and sponge parenchyma. Now we'll move forward by showing how this chloroplast look like when we see the three-dimensional micrograph of chloroplast. That means how it looks like, what it contains, and where light reaction occurs. I will magnify it, you can see it clearly. You can see the structure of this chloroplast. It's a three-dimensional electron micrograph of chloroplast. This chloroplast is a double membrane structure consisting of two membranes, that is outer envelope and inner envelope. Between the two envelopes we have intermembrane space, and inside the chloroplast we have number of piles of coin, number of stacks of thylakoids, and each stack of thylakoids is called granum, and there are number of grana in a chloroplast where light reaction or photochemical phase took place. You can see that each grana consists of number of thylakoids. On the right side you have a pile of these thylakoids which have thylakoid lumen inside. You can see is a granum stack of thylakoids. Then these grana are interconnected by stroma lamellae or fret channels. This is about the structure of chloroplast as well as thylakoids and grana. Then these thylakoids or grana, they are scattered in a watery matrix that's called as stroma. In case of photochemical phase of photosynthesis, it occurs on these thylakoids, on the surface of thylakoids, because these thylakoids bear photosystems, that is photosystem first and photosystem second, that I will show you later on. Plus that it also contains this stroma matrix where second phase of photosynthesis occurs, that is biosynthetic phase or dark reaction or light independent phase. Then you can see with the help of arrow, it's again the structure of chloroplast, outer membrane, inner membrane, thylakoids, stroma, then a single granum which is made up of stack of thylakoids. Then one more point you can see here, that is thylakoid membrane as well as thylakoid lumen, and below this thylakoid membrane and lumen can be seen as, that is inside the lumen you have number of protons, and this thylakoid membrane bears number of photosystems. It bears number of light harvesting centers in the form of LHC second, cytochrome B6F, ATP synthase, photosystem first, photosystem second, wherein ADP undergoes phosphorylation so as to form ATP adenosine triphosphate, and the process of formation of ATP from ADP in presence of inorganic phosphate is called photophosphorylation. And in light reaction, the output is assimilatory power, that is ATP and NADP H plus H positive, and which is formed during the cyclic and non-cyclic phase of photophosphorylation. That means photochemical phases subdivide into two phases, one's called as cyclic photophosphorylation and second called as non-cyclic photophosphorylation, that you can see later on. Then I will show you again, arrow shows it is just, these are number of thylakoids. At the top you can see it's a thylakoid membrane, and outside thylakoid membrane you have stroma, and inside thylakoid you have thylakoid lumen, and on the surface of this thylakoid membrane it bears number of protein molecules in the form of photosystems, that is LHC second trimer, light harvesting center. Then you have PS second, that's photosystem second, Then you have cytochrome B6F dimer. You have photosystem first, PS first, and you have ATP synthase. And in this diagram, you can clearly see that PS first is present in the appressed region within thylakoid membrane, or you can say it is present in the appressed region of thylakoid membrane, while as PS first it is present in both appressed as well as non-appressed part of thylakoid membrane. And these two arrows, they show photosystem first and photosystem second. You can see it's a photosystem which consists of 250 to 400 chlorophyll molecules, wherein chlorophyll A acts as reaction center, which may be either P700 or P680. And this reaction center is surrounded by number of antenna or excessive pigment molecules like carotenoids, like xanthophylls, carotenes and xanthophylls as accessory pigments, which can harvest more and more sunlight, which can harvest a maximum amount of light and then pass on to reaction center, where there is conversion of light energy into chemical energy or electrical energy. That means from leaf we come to the reaction center, where actually this light reaction gets converted into chemical energy or electrical energy. And this electrical energy or chemical energy is stored in the form of carbohydrates, it is stored in the form of sucrose, it is stored in the form of glucose, etc. And second phase of this is the overall sketch of this photos. You can see overall sketch. In the center you have a tree which bears leaves as photosynthetic organs, and on the left side you have a single leaf, and from this single leaf we get a transverse section which contains mesophyll tissue. Mesophyll tissue contains chloroplast. Then below you have structure of chloroplast. Chloroplast bears thylakoids. Then it is again shown as granum, that is stack of thylakoids, that means structure of thylakoid. Then इसके बाद arrow करके it is this thylakoid, it shows thylakoid lumen as well as thylakoid membrane, and on this thylakoid membrane number of pigment molecules, that is PS first, PS second, light harvesting centers as well as ATP synthase are found. And on these PS first and PS second we have chlorophyll molecules and accessory pigments, where there is actual conversion of light energy into electrical energy. This was the first phase, that is photochemical phase, which occurs on the surface of thylakoids of grana of chloroplast. Then second phase of photosynthesis, that's called biosynthetic phase, also called as light independent phase. Light independent phase, hence the name, since this phase occurs in absence of light, hence it's called as biosynthetic phase or light independent phase or dark reaction. And this phase occurs in the stroma of chloroplast, where all necessary enzymes are present which are involved in the reduction of carbon dioxide into carbohydrates. Then ATP and NADP H plus H, that's called assimilatory power, that's produced in the photochemical phase during cyclic and non-cyclic photophosphorylation, are utilized to reduce carbon dioxide and water into carbohydrates. And in order to reduce carbon dioxide into carbohydrates, photosynthetic phase may occur either through Calvin cycle, as in case of C3 plants, or it may occur through both Calvin cycle as well as another cycle that's called hedge and slag cycle, as in case of C4 plants. That's why in case of C4 plants, both Calvin cycle as well as hedge and slag cycle are takes place, but in case of C3 plants, only Calvin cycle takes place, or only Calvin cycle form sugars. And I hope you understand this topic nicely. Inshallah, in the next lecture, we'll come with another topic. Till then, good day. Have a good night. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.